record button, and there we go. I say it, it happens kind of weird that way when you think about it. Today, wow, we've got lots to chat about. It is Tuesday. It is Triumph Tuesday. And it is also our 1 year anniversary. Now, how cool is that? 1 year that, we decided to just give this a go. And, Two Sistas was formed. We've chatted about it, over the years. And we're going to kind of be, and it's kind of paramount in some ways that it falls on Triumph Tuesday because there were a lot of pivotal moments to getting this started, a lot of failures, a lot of triumphs, and it's our time to shine and, pat ourselves on the back for where we are to this point, where we want to go, where we envision this to go. But good morning, everyone. This is Carol, so AKA Naughty Boss, Lady Canna, live 1 year anniversary, Vero Beach. The skies are beautifully, just a nice blue color. And this is with Two
Sistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Janis, AKA Wellness Diva 5.0, Triumph Tuesday, 1 year later, and reflection. Look at all that we have accomplished. And yet, a lot of times when you set out to do a big endeavor like this, you never know where it's going to go. You never know where it's going to take you. And I think that's one of the beauties of Two Sistas, which actually started out, as many people know, Two Sistas and a Book, which we're still working on.
Yes, we are.
But
it's, and that's one of the pivots, the divots, the fail of getting it out. Well, I wouldn't call it a fail, but the derailment of not getting it out when we initially wanted it to. And then I really struggled over the last month because obviously very busy, but because so much has pivoted and or changed from the message. So I am just about done with kind of I don't want to say rewriting it, but refreshing it to, because even through that period of time, the mindset, the vision has changed. So I'm including part of, what occurred, but to keep it up to date because many things have already changed from that point. And we really want to have a published book that is impactful, current for where we are, and also, celebrating where we came from. But sometimes the journey takes so many pivots that you reread it, and you're like, oh, what was I thinking? Or no, that this is what I really wanted. So we are excited that we're like, for myself, she's done it. I'm the one that's holding it up because I really want to make sure this is a bigger endeavor for me than ever. I mean, obviously I am a co-author, published author at this point, but at the same time, this is a little bit different scenario. And we want to really make sure that when it's published, that it really represents all that we want it to. And that was one of the things that we had to pivot and divot, as well as, we started off, and many people might not remember, but we actually started off, remember, Jan, we were doing this 7 days a week, Monday through Friday. And I think today is our 219th episode. Am I right on that?
218.
218, so it's a day off, 218. And a lot of people that, especially a lot of our guests that we have on are shocked that we accomplished that in a year's time. Now, as we talked about, we started off with 7 days a week. And then we decided, we wanted to make sure that we're adding value to not only who we want to impact, but because we're part of the journey, this is, how we've kind of evolved. We also wanted to make sure that we were respecting each other's time, because this does take time. There's the technical piece to it. There is, we started to introduce guests. There, so much was going on within our world that we've kind of introduced periodically and probably on a daily basis. We always chat about what is going on in our communities, our states, our country, because everything that has to do with health and wellness is everything that we encompass. So it is your home life, it is your family life, it is, what's going on in your community, what's going on in our country, your state, your church, all those things impact your health and wellness. So we really wanted to showcase by doing that, but also remaining authentically us. Don't you think, Jan?
Yes, because the message has never really changed, but it's the foundation that has shifted. Now think about that for a moment. We always talk about foundations, and I know with health coaching, you need to obviously build a healthy foundation. You can't go from 0 to 60 and expect to lose 10 pounds in 2 days. It doesn't work like that. However, if you start building upon that foundation, sometimes the foundation gets cracks. For instance, when we started to introduce guests, when we were kind of chatting about it, I remember saying, well, I don't want to have people that are in the same field as us, but when we talked it out, it made so much sense to have guests on that are in the same field of us from a different perspective. And, we went as far as one of our guests, Anya, and I'm so glad I'm pronouncing her name correctly, from Happy Bond, who is a scientist, but has developed wellness products for pets. And most of them, I believe she said, also humans could consume them.
Yeah,
that's how good.
Yeah, she did say that. And I think she also, which I thought was awesome, was her husband is the tester.
Yes. And then her dog, Fernando, is the, on the pet side and he obviously loves doing that. But that just goes to show you where this journey has taken us. And we're excited to see what happens with her company as well, because she's also was introducing a new line specifically for humans, some different wellness products. So
exactly. And then look at the list of guests we've had. I mean, we've had tons of mindset coaches, people that have, succumbed, tragedies in their own life and are really now the forefront of helping others, get through some tragedies. We've had co-authors, cheer coaches. We've had doctors. We've had mindset coaches, health coaches. We've also had a movie producer. We've had a gamut of different people, because the beauty of being human is we are all different. We all have something important to say. And what do you think, Jan, about all the different, how they've really encompassed our journey?
Well, interesting that you posed that question, because, by the way, it's a little sidetrack for a moment. The May lineup is going to blow everybody away. And one of the conversations that I had yesterday was with Dr. Mondragon, who will be a guest on May 18th. And what he said to me, and I thought this was amazing. Well, not only do we kind of stalk our potential guests, through the questionnaires and this and that, they stalk us as well. And one of the things that he said to me, which I thought was very poignant, was, I love the message that you bring. And because the first question that he asked me was, what's your demographic? I said, well, originally we started out just women, from 45 on. I said, but it developed more toward both genders. And we have an array of listeners. I mean, now we have listeners in Ireland. I think it's 3 to 4% now of our listeners come from Ireland. But what he said was, I think that is amazing to showcase what you are passionate about, but in a way to relate it to real life situations.
And think about that. When you really think about that, that's part of being authentically us. And we encourage others, our viewers and our listeners, to always be authentically them. I think too, and I think this was part of the journey of not only what we were going through and are going through as part of that journey, but for others as well, is you're almost, the last 12 months has really made people more aware of who they are, where they want to go, who they want to serve, And that's really the legacy of who we are as human beings, serving others in all different capacities, whether you're, professional in the medical field, the legal field, the, serving others from the police, fire, EMTs, and then, teachers, now parents had to kind of reinvent who they were, not only as parents, because parents are always teachers, always has been, but now they had to pivot that to encompass school. And that was difficult for many people. So what we try to instill in others is to actually look at your vision. And we're always reinventing ourselves with the times, but even more so. And I think truly that is one of the blessings that came out of the quarantine and out of this last 12 months plus, is that many of us had to reinvent ourselves, or we had to be accountable and take note of where our lives were going. Did we like the direction? Was this a time that really presented another opportunity for us to really impact and serve others? Don't you think?
Yes, and the basis behind impacting others will always obviously be in the forefront of what we do and how we go forward. And with adding guests to the mix, I just want to go back to that for a moment. Adding guests to the mix really brought us to kind of, I don't want to say a new level, but we've also been introduced to their audiences. And you have to look at that as really such a blessing that we're able to go out and, meet, obviously we would rather meet people in person, right? We all know that, but that we're able to do this through this forum, and that, we don't have any fancy equipment. Obviously you have a thing there. Yeah, that thing there.
That's called the microphone.
Yeah, I had a brain fart.
And then the little bit of lighting, it's really showcases, and I think that's part of our message, besides bringing on this, really this wide range of different coaches to add value to what we're chatting about. But we're also making it possible, I hope, and I believe we are, to showcase that others can do the same. That if that's your direction, if that's your passion, that you have a story, a journey, or something that you want to impact others, that you think are going to serve others and help, we are hopefully showing you through our journey that it is possible. That, while the virus in a whole was not a blessing, there were many blessings that came out of it to really show us as human beings what we're made of.
Right. And another conversation we had with another guest yesterday that you were on, and she said, I'm just going to give a little bit away, the gift of being present. Yes.
And that's true. And we talk about that. I shared a beautiful book. I don't have it in front of me, which was, the present. And a lot of people, when they hear that word, they automatically think of that nice box that's wrapped really nice. But they're missing the key piece of always being present in the moment, because that's the real gift. Being present in the moment, helping others, serving others, impacting others. And we've had such a wide range in our first year of guest speakers that really have added so much value. And we hope that in turn that our audience and listeners, are seeking them out. I mean, I'm trying to think of that gentleman we had. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Oh gosh, he was on a mission, and he ended up doing a self-serving, yoga mindset thing. I can't think of what his name is. Oh, geez, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Spears.
Yes. Listen to his amazing journey. And that is why when we really encountered a lot of our guest speakers, we automatically knew that, my gosh, not only are we going to keep introducing new speakers, but that it really was impactful to bring them back on for follow-ups. And one of the ones that I'm really excited about is Alex Diaz, who had the vision of the movie Joseph. And his level and his platform has skyrocketed because, you know, this was a dream and a vision he had in a dream that is now produced into a movie. They're working on different ways to get the full thing produced with, you know, financing and fundraising, and to watch his journey, you know, which started years ago, you know, come to fruition. So sometimes your vision and where you're really looking to impact and serve takes time. Yes, of course, there's, you know, the carrots that just come right away and you're blessed right away. But a lot of times the vision doesn't always, it's not super clear. You have a clear vision of where you want to go, but the journey to get there, don't you think? I mean, we talk about that a lot, that we have so much more that we want to impact others with.
Well, it's almost like the yellow brick road. When I think of the path that you take to go somewhere, like we are here and we want to be over there. Well, how, there's no GPS for that. Okay. So you have to kind of make up your own GPS as you go along that yellow brick road. Like, what do you want to get out of that? How, who do you want to impact? What is that going to do not only for you, but your for potential clients, your potential listeners, whatever it may be. And that's the point of a vision. If you have in mind, gosh, you know, years ago, I go back to when I first started writing, I've always wanted to write. I always wanted to publish a book. I haven't published my own yet, but I've always wanted to write. And the opportunity presented itself. And I went for it. And let me tell you, I was, oh my God, what did I just do? Oh my God, that means I have to write a chapter. How am I going to do that? You know, you start doubting your ability, but that's part of the process of learning as well, because you can accomplish, you really can't accomplish anything if you take those fears and say, okay, what am I going to write about? In fact, I have a chapter that's due by this Friday, and it's all up here. So today I have to get it on paper. And yes, I am one of those people that wait. It's not that I wait until the last minute, but that's my creative processing sparkness, if you will. Had I not done that first book, I don't know that I would have. And here I am 14 books later, getting ready to submit my 15th co-authored project. And by the way, as a side part of writing my own book, I've decided that by my 60th birthday, that means before my 60th birthday, I'm going to be 59 in a couple weeks. My book will be done and published. That's a goal I have for myself. It's like,
and that's, you know, what we hope that we're instilling with others is, you know, go for those goals, go for those visions. You know, we want to showcase what we're doing, but really our message is not really about what we are doing. It's more about how we can impact you to do what you need to do and show you that, you know, yeah, there's a lot of pivots, there's a lot of divots, there's a lot of failure to it, there's a lot of accomplishments that go with it. But at the same time, that we're showing you, because our journeys are bumpy, because that's real life. Real life is bumpy, but that inspires you to get your creative juices flowing, whatever that may be, whether it's in the health and fitness industry, whether it's writing, whether it's whatever you want it to be, you know, a mom and pop store, you know, be an entrepreneur, you know, a combination of different things. And I think that's what, you know, our real mission is, to help others see that vision and not let your dreams and your goals go to the graveyard, because they serve no one if they're in the graveyard. You don't want them with a bunch of old bones, right? You want them to impact others. And that's really the legacy of being a human being, I believe, is really showcasing and helping others and serving them. So what we do is with serving you. Now with that, I'm gonna pivot a little bit because, you know, of course, we've got to get to some what's going on in current events and Triumph Tuesday. And, you know, really what that means about celebrating your triumphs. I was listening to a reporter, just a little bit of a clip, and I was actually kind of surprised. I mean, we talk about quite a bit about, media and what they do, what they've accomplished. And we kind of correlate that with what we've been able to accomplish. We always joked around when the pivot really came for those reporters to actually do the news from home. They didn't have the makeup person, they didn't have the lighting, the camera. Well, you might have had maybe one cameraman, or you were just going through Zoom, and the trials and tribulations that they went through, where we had already been through those. And, I made note to say what a great job we were doing in comparison to the professionals. We adapted very well. Like if there was a flub up, we didn't get starstruck, like look into the light, like you're looking into that light and you just can't respond. And a lot of them did that. But ironically, I listened to, and I don't remember the reporter, could not even tell you what news station, because I don't really watch news stations. It was a clip in social media. And this particular reporter was chatting about, obviously, over the last year and how he truly missed traveling, that he has not been on a flight in over a year. And I had to pause because I'm about to embark on my 23rd flight in the last year. And I look at that and it really made me, it really impressed upon me the fear that people are trying to triumph over and get over, and like they're stuck. To me, it's like they're almost in quicksand and they can't, they're trying to climb out of it and they just keep sinking and sinking. And I thought it really sparked that vision of, living life to the fullest and not living in fear. And even after, what we've gone through over the last year, a lot of people have asked that question: how do you travel? Now you're going on your 23rd flight. How do you do that? Well, common sense is one. I think I actually took 3 flights in the heat of 3 or 4 flights, 4 flights in the heat of the first 8 weeks, 9 weeks of this pandemic, in the very early stages. And I've gone from being one of maybe 3 people on a plane, totally empty airport, totally empty gates, no employees, and we're talking about Orlando International Airport. Can you imagine, envision? And I did take pictures on my old phone, so I'm hoping I'm still trying to find them, because I had to switch my phone. And I thought to myself, they're somewhere in the cloud. And we all know that when your pictures go to the cloud, where is the cloud? But anywho, going from that moment to, the very first time, that is really right before we closed down as a country, John and I were in Mexico on a company trip. And I remember that first moment of seeing someone wear a mask on the airplane. And I actually even took a picture of the person. I thought, Lordy, this is like cray-cray. To maybe about 6 to 8 weeks later, when really the country was shut down and no flights were going out, or very few, and I had to go to Virginia, and literally I think I was one of 3 people on the plane. Orlando International Airport was dead. Like there was no employees. I mean, going from gate to gate to gate. And I'm just looking around. I go, this is just unimaginable. And as I have traveled more and more throughout the entire year, really watching it from that perspective, which is part of something that I'm trying to incorporate and want to incorporate in our book, because that going through that process of going from flying full force to being like one of only 3. I mean, there was probably 2 or 3 flights where literally, I think the most people or less people that were on it was me and 2 other people, and the plane took off. And mind you, the ticket was like $18. It was ridiculous, if you can imagine that. To actually growing with the journey of the country opening up, because I didn't stop flying. And a lot of people ask that question, how, weren't you afraid? And I never was, because again, it was common sense. First off, the airlines did an amazing job. It's like brand new planes. But to see that whole journey and that process and correlate the journey of that and listening to this newscaster saying, you know, it's been over a year. I can't even imagine getting on a plane. And I thought, what fear he must live in. Don't you think? Like, I don't know.
And that's why how do I say this in a gentle way? People live in fear. And sometimes it's for the wrong reasons. And I'm not disrespecting anybody. So I want to make that very clear, because I have lived in fear over certain things that have happened in my life. And I know firsthand that feeling of dread, like, oh my God, I can't do this. What if? Until I learned to feel the fear, process it, but not spend too much time on it, and then go forward. And maybe I approach it in a different manner that I haven't before, which is unfamiliar. Because let's face it, everybody likes to be normal, right? We do things out of habit because they're normal and comfortable, even when we know it's maybe not the right thing to do, or that we're really kind of in that fear type of mode. And I'm speaking purely from experience. But when you think of that time when you probably have felt a fear, but you conquered it, I mean, how good did that make you feel? I know that it made me feel pretty damn good. So back to what you were saying about that reporter, that's a fear. I mean, they shared that obviously with their, excuse me, with their audience online. And that, I want to tell that person, and not that they'll ever hear this podcast, but for those of you experiencing that, right then and there, that person acknowledged the fear, and hopefully they will move forward. And at some point, maybe travel to Florida or wherever they want to go to visit a family member, maybe attend a family member's wedding, whatever that may be. And think of how they will feel once they've really conquered it. Like, that process has begun. So anybody out there that is experiencing a fear, to acknowledge it, that's the start of it. Trust me, that's awesome.
That's exactly the start of it, and going forward. But like I said, what I will say as far as the actual traveling piece to it, the airlines do an amazing job. Yeah, yes, of course you have to, wear a mask on. That's mandated at this point. I'm hoping that changes at some point, but right now that's still what it is. You can remove your mask to eat and drink. All airlines comply with that. And, depending on how long your flight is, because I've been very verbal about not being a mask wearer, but obviously I wear them where you have to, because if I don't, I'm not going to get anywhere, right? So if you're wondering and you're like itching, the airlines are open up for business. And, we're not promised time. And I think, sadly, when you live in fear like that and you don't address it, because you have to be accountable for it. You've got to head on face it, but triumph over it and pat yourself, even if it's a smaller journey to get you over that initial fear. Now, if the fear is, you don't have the fear for flying, but you're concerned, how cleanly, how clean the planes are and the whole operation, they're very extremely clean. Like even in each seat, remember they used to have the pamphlets that opened up and told you emergency situations or beverages and yada, yada, yada. No magazines, there's nothing in the front pockets, number one. You can actually smell the cleanliness. They do clean, and a lot of people are smart. They use common sense. They'll take cleansers with them and the wipes, and they wipe things down and whatnot. But they do a great job. So there's nothing in the pockets. It's pretty orderly as far as people really cooperating with what you're supposed to do and what knowing what you can do, people will take food with them on there because there's limited service. And whatever they do serve, the different airlines I've been on, it's usually in a Ziploc bag, maybe a little bottle of water, cookies, or self-closed, little snack size Ziploc bag, and they hand it to you. So you're not getting the full service that you normally would get, but you're still getting something. They do an awesome job. So kudos to the airlines that are keeping the planes safe and clean. And I don't think I've never been on a flight, and like I said, I'm about to do my 23rd, where there's been any disruption. Everyone cooperates. Go ahead.
So my little 5 minutes of scrolling this morning when I got back from kickboxing, I like to look at the little video clips. And there was a video clip of people on an airplane, and this one, and I'm just going to come out and say it, dumb ass.
Oh God.
Okay? It was a woman who refused. She sat down, but she refused to put her mask on. So the flight attendant was really great about it and said, when you checked in, you agreed you have to wear the mask. Now, we all know how I feel about masks. We all know how you feel about wearing masks. Well, if I want to travel, I have to abide by that rule, period, and the discussion. And when you do check in, that's part of the process. You have to agree to wear a mask.
Right.
So she was fighting tooth and nail. Long story short, her dumbass was kicked off that flight, and they had to call security to haul her out. So.
Right. And there's only been, a few instances where I've seen that there was confusion. I know probably a few weeks ago, there was a young family with I want to say maybe 3-year-old. I believe the child was about 3 years old, and they kept pulling the mask down so the child could, have that snack and have a sip, and they had not taken off yet. And the flight attendant really came on quite strong with, again, when you're serving others, there's something to say about the delivery, the tone,
Absolutely.
the words. And I have to say that flight attendant must have been having a not so good day.
I agree.
Clearly hear that she was not, customer service wasn't quite there. Now, keep in mind that, again, we don't know what she was instructed to say and or do. So I want to give her the benefit of the doubt that way. But what happened was they ended up removing all passengers. And then after a short period of time, I don't believe it was that long, everyone, including this family, was allowed back on. The CEO of the airline was called, and that flight attendant was the one that was not allowed back on, because this family was not doing anything wrong. Both parents had their masks on, and the child kept, had their mask on and off, kind of a thing. So, it goes both ways. As a customer, you want to make sure that you're following the rules and listening. And I think the father did an excellent job saying, asking that question, what are we doing wrong? Please explain it to me. And let's face it, in today's society, people have got cell phones everywhere, and they're videotaping every action, every movement, especially in a public forum like that. So you have to wear them, and until they remove that mandate, you have to. And it's, for that short amount of time, or depending on what kind of a flight you're going on, you just have to do it. And like you said, you agree to that when you buy that ticket, and you agree to that when you check in. So, you got to do what you got to do to get where you got to go. And you got to deal with it. I'm not a mask wearer, but I know that if I don't, I'm not getting on that plane. So why fight the system? You got to, there's other things. You got to kind of pick and choose your battles. And you also got to pick and choose when to triumph and pat yourself on the back for getting through whatever it is that you have to get through, but also celebrating those small wins. So if your, big thing was to actually get on that plane, and that was a fear of yours, and you did it, pat yourself on the back. That's a good thing. If you've had trouble with getting back on track with your health and wellness, whether it's how you're eating, your fitness level, take those little triumphs and celebrate them, because those are the pivotal moments and the stepping stones to really get you to that vision and or that goal.
True. Those goals are so important. And make sure that they're SMART goals. Now there's different forms of goals per se and how to achieve them, but you always want them goal oriented, specific. For instance, we talk about losing weight. Don't set yourself up for failure before you've begun. Like, don't say, oh, I'm going to go on a diet and I'm going to lose 10 pounds in a month, which is definitely doable. But maybe you want to start out, like, scale it back a little bit, keep the 10 pounds in the back of your mind. But if you know your specific habits and what you do, when you do them and why you do them, you kind of have to incorporate that into that goal that you want to achieve. So yes, it's overwhelming. I've personally have been there. You've been there. And just make it realistic, make it simplistic. And then it's the foundation, and then you build upon that.
Absolutely. And forgive yourself when you screw up. I mean, we all do. You have different variables that come into your life, whether it's company, whether it's you're going on vacation, whether, you just get into that slump. We all do that. I mean, we have to be realistic in our health and wellness. There's things that we can do. Definitely, we talk about that on Monday Mindset, on ways that you can really reshape and rethink and whatever's presented to you. But you also, forgiveness has to be a part of that, because there are, how many of you can relate to, like, you just had a stressful day? There are people that are stress eaters and there are people that are stress non-eaters. So some people, stress will bring on, like, they can't eat, they're not hungry. And then for others, it's like, okay, what does that go to? Chocolate chip cookie, where is it? I need to not have one, I need to eat half the sleeve because that's going to suffice my stress right now. It happens. Confront it head on. But when you are accountable and you have that conversation with yourself in the mirror, pat yourself on the back that you took the initiative, because even taking the initiative is a huge step for a lot of people. Having that accountability conversation with yourself is a triumph, because it's hard. Nobody wants to be accountable. Nobody wants to look inward, but you have to look inward to go outward, to have movement, to have progress, to go forward.
That's true. And you will be so proud of yourself to triumph over those little things, and maybe that takes you in a different direction. And that's the beauty of those triumphs, is they're meant to be there to celebrate, to embrace them, that you've moved past something and you're on your yellow brick road to your destination, and you've created that GPS.
I love that. Be your own GPS. I'm loving that. Well, with that, on this Triumph Tuesday, triumph to our first year. I'm super excited to see where our second year goes. We have completed with this is our 218th episode. That in itself is a great accomplishment. What are you going to accomplish today? What are you going to triumph over? What goal are you going to write down on? Actually, funny that we say that. I have a notepad right here, and the first line is goal getter. Today is the day 2 with a list, and then brainstorming ideas and top 3 goals. And I always fill this out as a reminder to stay on track, but also because sometimes the goals or the vision has a pivot. And I got to change it up a little bit. I know you do, right? So with that, we celebrate what we've accomplished together individually over the last year, and we've got more to impact, more to add to your day and to your vision and to your goal getting. With that, this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss Lady Canna, excited 1-year anniversary with
TwoSistas. Hey everyone, my name is Janis, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. No, I am not downgrading, never. And we hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. Carol Sue will be traveling tomorrow, and I'll be on a little bit later with our guests at 11 a.m. Eastern time here on our page. And then we're back to kind of normal back on Thursday. Thank you so much, everybody. 1 year, can you believe it? We're so excited. Have a great day.
Bye-bye, everyone.